Hello and welcome to a sun-soaked Silverstone on a special Saturday as British Motor Racing makes its return in 2021. We're here for the classic touring cars. The pre-66s are out on track at the moment, giving us a thrill and spill and plenty more. But before we get into all the racing action, let's meet some of our drivers with this week's Driver in Focus.
My dad used to race with the club back in the 80s, so there's always been a bit of an affiliation there, and we just like to continue it really. So I'm a race mechanic. I also go away racing for Porsche, racing with Porsche in the World Endurance Championship, which includes races like Le Mans, so you get to experience these sort of gruelling 48-hour shifts as a mechanic, as well as what the drivers go through. I can't remember a time in the last sort of 5-6 years that I haven't spent a week working on something to do with racing. But in the Anglia, I've never completed a full season, and that's partly due to the work that I do and race weekends being taken up. This year, looking at the calendar, it looks like we might actually have a good chance of making all the meetings, which would be a good attempt at maybe getting some of that prize money.
Well, lovely to hear from one of our classic touring car drivers there. We'll hear from plenty more throughout the course of this motorsport season, which is just about to get underway. Really excited to get underway here at Silverstone, and so are plenty of the drivers. I've been around the paddock catching up with several who cannot wait to get going.
We've been building up to this for a while. I didn't race last year because of COVID, basically. I raced in 2019 in a different Anglia, and it took us last year basically to rebuild this one anyway, so I wouldn't have been out. So, as I say, yesterday's the first time out in it, today's the first race, so we're looking to do all of this series.
It's gaining confidence really. Don't want to break it before I get a chance to learn how to work it really. Could have been faster in qualifying, so the aim of the day is just to get every time, if I can get a step quicker in each race, I should be happy. You know?
It's getting the car and myself back up to speed. I think we've both had a long break from racing. The car has had a full rebuild in the last 18 months, and yesterday it ran for the first time. It's typical bedding in and teething problems.
I've had it 9 years, and it's just one of them things that's been shoved on the back burner. Me and my son and one of my mates have been building it and doing a bit, leaving it, getting out, and then as everybody did, the first lockdown thing come along and we really got stuck into it and got it done, you know. So yeah, it's been a passion to get it out and done for all them years, but other things get in the way, don't they? So
it's a full rebuild, yeah. Basically the only thing that's as it is when I bought it is the shell and roll cage. Absolutely everything else is brand new on it. So it will take a bit of while to get up to speed, but 3 or 4 meetings in, it should be up there with the top ones. They're exciting, they don't have to move around a lot. They slide everywhere, so it's interesting.
Well, it's about time we got going then. They have waited long enough. Can't wait for this one. We get going with the classic touring cars pre-66s. It's time to go to your commentator, Dave Goddard.
And we're ready for our first race of the day, the Pultec Classic Race Engines pre-66 touring cars. Well, here they come then up to the grid with Peter Smith at number 71, pole position, the man from North Yorkshire, with his Lotus Cortina. Alan Greenall, the reigning Class A champion, will start alongside him in the big Ford Falcon. The marshals clearing the grid. The green flag is waved at the back of the grid. It's time to go racing here on the Silverstone International Circuit. Off they go with race number 1 of the weekend. Roger Stanford gets away well with the Lotus Cortina. Who's going to be leading as they head into Abbey Corner for the first time? It should be Alan Greenall in the big V8 engine Ford Falcon, but no, Peter Smith holds it around the outside. 41 of Ollie Attard is there on the outside. Roger Stanford up into 4th position. He's out-dragged Peter Holford. Not the best of starts by Barry Syme in the Mini. He has dropped away. We'll wait to see as they sort themselves out who's going to come through in the lead for the first time as they head up towards Beckett's, then round to the right and onto the Hanger Straight. It's Alan Greenall in the big Ford Falcon, slides his way through Beckett's, leads the way ahead of Pete Smith and Ollie Attard. They charge their way onto the Hanger Straight, and here the power will tell for Alan Greenall. The V8 engine Class A car pulls away from the Cortina and Mini Hordes behind. Look at Michael Sheraton up there in the Anglia as well. He's having a go at Pete Holford in the Ford Mustang, going for the inside into the daunting Stowe corner. Harvey Death in there as well in the Mini. It's brilliant field. I think this is the biggest ever field that the Pultec Pre-66 category has had. Watch for the Falcon hanging the tail out there as they slide their way through. This is great stuff so far from the Pultec Pre-66 Classic Touring Cars, promoted by the Classic Touring Car Racing Club. Over the line they come. Alan Greenall has the lead ahead of Pete Smith. Ollie Attard is in third place. Barry Symes dropped back a bit in his Mini, didn't make the best of starts. There's Michael Sheraton in his Ford Anglia, chased by Pete Holford in the yellow Mustang. Settling in, starting to sort themselves out. There's Barry Syme just behind Pete Holford there, the blue Mini. Behind him is the Alfa Romeo of James Everard, the orange car. But through the complex up towards the right-hander at Beckett's onto the hanger straight. Greenall from Smith, Attard, Stanford, then it's Death, Sheraton, Holford sideways, as is Everard. This is what we've come to see. Now, where is Andy Mesham up to? He's one to watch further back. He's made up a couple of places so far. Wonderful variety, the brutal V8s, the Mustangs and the Falcons, and the more nimble Cortinas, Minis and Ford Anglias. There's Robin Slater's Anglia, making it past the leading Hillman Imp there of James Ibbotson, the dark blue number 22. Number 87 rather, 22 is Michael Loveland, I apologise. 128's there, that's Pete Winstone, ex-short oval hot rod racer in his Anglia. Hanging the tail out as they come through club corner. There's Harvey Death, Mini racing veteran. Over the line they come with 12 minutes to go in this 15-minute race to complete their second lap. Greenall has the lead, chased by Pete Smith. Ollie Attard in third place. Smith leading Class F, Greenall Class A. Harvey Death's Mini leads Class C. He's under problems there for one of the Minis being pushed back there in the background. We'll try and identify who that is out of the race. I think that might be James Burrows, number 17, that we've lost there in the background. Somebody running wide. That's another of the Minis. That's Andy Mesham. It's got to be Andy Mesham driving that far wide. He's on the attack. Only way he knows how to drive. Greenall still leads them from the trio of Lotus Cortinas behind. Smith, Attard and Roger Stanford. Fifth behind them, Harvey Death in his Mini. Then we've got Michael Sheraton going great guns there. It is James Burrows that has pulled up in the number 17 Mini. He's out of the race. He's plagued by problems with that Mini, if I remember rightly, last season as well. Harvey Death's dropped back a little as well. He's behind Barry Syme and James Everard, so he's lost a couple of places there. Through the club complex, here comes Alan Greenall, who's to complete lap number 3. Pete Smith under pressure for the class lead and second overall from Ollie Attard. Attard wide over the curbs there, out of club onto the Sir Lewis Hamilton straight. Roger Stanford's dropped back a few lengths then. Then we've got Pete Holford in the Mustang, chased by Michael Sheraton. He's well up in his Anglia. You see the number plates on that car. That is a road legal car as well. James Everard, Barry Syme back ahead of Harvey Death, who's dropped back. He's lost the lead of Class C as well. It's now Michael Sheraton leading that class in the Anglia. Further back in the order, Class E is being led. Class D is being led by Brian Bedford in his Austin A40. Class E by the imp of James Ibbotson. Bit of a lock-up there from one of the Minis coming into Beckett's. Pete Holford hanging the tail out in the Mustang. This is brilliant stuff. Pete Smith started from pole but was out-dragged off the line by Alan Greenall. The power of the V8 Ford Falcon telling. There's more V8 brute power. Pete Holford, long-time Ford Mustang racer. John Storage lets the leaders by on the home straight. Now is Holford going to be able to catch up in the Mustang? The lead gap 1.5 seconds that time through. But Pete Smith has just done the fastest lap of the race. We've got somebody off there, and Ollie Attard ran wide in avoidance. Now, who was that going off there? That was Greenall. The leader has spun coming out of Abbey. Greenall is down to around 5th position. So the Cortina battle is now for the lead. There is Greenall. He had a spin there coming out of Abbey. I don't know whether the back marker got in the way, but Greenall is down to, I think, 5th position behind the Cortinas, and Pete Holford, and a big lock up there from Ollie Attard. He runs wide, loses a bit of ground to our race leader, Pete Smith. Look at Alan Greenall there completely sideways as he tries to recover. He's angry, he's frustrated with himself, trying to recover. Pete Smith leads the way. Look at the Mustang there, sideways onto the hanger straight. This is great stuff. This is what we've come to see from the Classic Touring Car Racing Club. Oh, we've got a tangle there, Tony Palmer and the 128, which is Pete Winstone. His Anglia's gone. Somebody else has a lock up there into Stowe Corner. Michael Sheraton trying to hold off Barry Syme. That's for second place in class. But these Cortinas really throwing it around as they fight for the lead through Vale. There's a replay. Oh dear, Pete Winstone went off and he's hit Tony Palmer's car that had just parked up. That's unlucky for Tony. He just parked up with a problem. We saw him slowing and Pete Winstone slid off and crashed into him. And at Vale and into Club, through goes Alan Greenall. He's got past Roger Stanford now. And their battling is drawing Pete Holford onto the back of them. There's the yellow Mustang. So we've got two Cortinas going for the lead. And here comes Pete Holford. He should use the Mustang's power here to draw alongside Roger Stanford. He's going to go through, take fourth place. And he's chasing Alan Greenall to try and get his class lead back. That's the battle for the lead in Class A. 1 minute 20 seconds to go. So this should be last lap this time for Peter Smith in his beautiful Lotus Cortina, the original homologation saloon, of course, the Lotus Cortina. First saloon to be created for racing. Final lap, Pete Smith and Ollie Attard. I don't think there's anything Ollie Attard can do from here, but behind, Pete Holford at the inside. He's going to try and take third, and more significantly, the lead of Class A. Greenall breaks as late as he dares. Mind that Hillman Imp. Michael Loveland ahead of them. He's going to have to get out of the way here. He does get out of the way. Greenall holds third and holds his class lead over Pete Holford in the Mustang. Roger Stanford with the headlights ablaze behind him. Marshall's waving the blue flags to tell the back markers the leaders are coming through. Oh, Pete Holford's losing the Mustang. Round he goes. What a shame for Pete Holford. Fourth place gone. Just pushed a little bit too hard there, Pete Holford. I hope he hasn't hit anything. Hopefully he'll be able to recover. But it should be checkered flag this time. Pete Smith from North Yorkshire into the left-hander at Vale for the last time. I don't think Ollie Attard's going to be able to do anything from here. It's going to be Pete Smith if he just gets round Club Corner for the final time. And our first winner this season is going to be Peter Smith in the Lotus Cortina. There's the checkered flag. Smith wins it. Ollie Attard second. Alan Greenall comes in third in the Ford Falcon to win Class A, and Roger Stanford fourth. Great drive by Pete Smith, the pole sitter for this race. Lost the lead early on to Alan Greenall, but a quick spin dropped Alan down a few places. And there are our provisional class winners. Smith takes Class F, Greenall Class A after that late spin for Pete Holford. Bad luck to him. He did get going again and finished 7th, I can tell you. Class C goes to James Everard in the Alfa Romeo. Well done to him. Class E to James Ibbotson in his Hillman Imp. And Class D to Brian Bedford in the Austin A40.
Big congratulations to our overall race winner. That was some drive out there. How did you enjoy it?
Oh, really good. Yeah, really good. I'd say it's first time on this track racing, so you know, it was quite nervous at the start because I wasn't sure how the start would go, how it would go on, and you've obviously watched all the Formula 1 drivers, so I tried to move over on that big Falcon, but it looked a bit big to me, so I had to let him go. But I think it was pulling him back actually, and then obviously he spun. So yeah, no, it's good. The car was good. I enjoyed it, and I didn't make a fool of myself. And you know, for a 71-year-old, that ain't bad, is it?
Sun's shining. You've had your first race at Silverstone for the weekend. How do you feel?
Yeah, great. What a fabulous race. It was good fun. Had a real ding-dong with another Mini and Ford Anglia all the way round. And yeah, what a wonderful day and a lovely day for it.
How do you reflect on that race ultimately for yourself?
Great fun, and that's what it's all about. Enjoying yourself.
A brilliant opening race, and the action is set to continue with the pre-83s in the classic touring cars, joined by the Jaguar Enthusiast Club. Let's hear from some of the drivers.
Can't wait to get going, should I say. Fantastic. Yeah, it's good to be back.
What's it like being out on the track already?
Good. Yeah, very good. Car's got some grip. Track feels good. I don't mind this track. It's a power circuit, so we have a good bash. Flat down.
And tell me a little bit about the car itself, because as we all know, cars like this always have a story. What's this one?
There's a long story. I started racing in 2000 with a RS 2000. We crashed that a couple of times, so we reshelled that. This is the reshell, and I came back racing in 2017.
Oh, we're here with Daniel Stewart running the Jaguar Enthusiast Club, and it's a beautiful car you've got with you, Daniel, today. Tell us a little bit more about it, first of all.
Well, it's the second car. With the first one I killed at Brands Hatch, so we bought a new shell and put all the components of the old car into this one, and decided to go for the Hesworth colours on it. I think it's nice.
Now that sounds like a little bit of a story to me. How on earth did that happen?
I drove into the pit wall at 70 miles an hour. It doesn't normally do a car very good.
No, that'll do it for sure. How's today gone? Slightly better for you?
Yeah, I haven't crashed today, which is good. I haven't finished qualifying though. We've got a problem with the car overheating, but hopefully we'll solve that.
Yeah, speaking of overheating, it couldn't be a better day for it, could it?
It's
for the first day of the season to be back at Silverstone. This is what dreams are made of, isn't it?
Yeah, it's lovely. I've never raced here before, but it's a beautiful day. Yeah, the track's lovely. Yeah, it's very nice.
Oh, the championship's fantastic. The club's fantastic. You know, all the guys, everybody in the club is your mate. You know, they're all friends. We help each other out in the paddock. When you get out on track, you want to beat them.
And that's what it should be all about.
Exactly.
Best of luck today, Mark.
Exactly. Thank you very much.
They're a handful, but then they're just so much fun, and to try and master when it goes well, it's really satisfying.
Getting ready then for our pre-83 Shell Oils touring cars and the Jaguar Enthusiasts Club Saloon and GT race. The Jaguars start from the front half of the grid, and in pole position it is number 4 of Tom Robinson alongside number 1, the reigning champion James Ram. And then we've got the pre-83 touring cars sponsored by Shell Oils. Front row for them, Simon Jeffs in the VW Golf alongside Stephen Primet in his Mark 1 Escort. Second row, reigning champion Mike Luck with his BMW alongside 41, the Fiesta of Tom Burgess. Great variety of cars in the pre-83 touring cars. About to get underway here with the Jaguars. We've got in-car footage for this race. We are on board with Stuart Kay in his Ford Capri, just making his way out of the paddock onto the grid, the triplex Capri, riding on board with the chairman of the Classic Touring Car Racing Club. Jaguars already in position on the grid then, taking their time to form up this big grid. I think we've got 36 cars out there, a couple of withdrawals in the Jags. Almost ready for 15 minutes of racing from Jaguars and Classic Touring Cars. And away they go, down towards the first corner. Good starts by James Ram, a very poor start by Tom Robinson. He's been swallowed by the pack. The touring cars will then follow in a few seconds' time. The flag drops and the pre-83 touring cars are underway in the second pack. One of the Jags hasn't got away. Let's hope he's not going to be collected by any of the touring cars. The yellow flag's being shown to warn the drivers. Al Wayman was very close there. Stuart Kay as well. Stuart Kay's on the grass, so is Colin Claxton. Oh dear. A stalled Jaguar causing chaos there. Kay's been hit there. That's contact with Claxton, I think. And I think Stuart Kay is out of the race already. He's got a flat tyre. And the curse of the onboard camera has hit already, unfortunately. Stuart Kay didn't even get as far as Abbey. Well, the rest of the pack heading round on their opening lap. There's Jonathan Corker with the little Datsun running wide. Charge their way through Beckett's corner for the first time on towards the Hangar Straight. The Jaguars already away out in front. Oh, we've got a fire on the Jaguar that has stalled. Who's that? That's Matthew Davis, number 50 is the car that had stalled the Jaguar XKR, that car on fire. And I suspect, yes, the red flag has come out, the race has been stopped. So Matthew Davis is XJR on fire, the race has been stopped in the interests of safety. That's the car that didn't get away off the grid, and it is clear to see why that car is well alight. In come the marshals to fight the fire. Well, goodness me, high drama here on the Silverstone starting grid. Well, the marshals earning their keep and certainly showing off their repertoire here. See again what happened here. He was trying to pull the car off the grid. It refused to fire up off the starting grid, and then as he pulled it over Matthew Davis to the side of the road, up it went. Presumably fuel or oil getting onto the hot exhaust there underneath the car, and Matthew thankfully straight out and unharmed. Not the start that we had hoped for in our pre-83 touring car and Jaguar Saloon and GT combined race.
After all that wait, the drivers would have to wait a little bit longer. Not too long though until the race was restarted. Let's rejoin the action with take 2.
Red lights are on and off they go. Race gets underway for the second time. Now, has Tom Robinson made a better start from pole position this time? No, he hasn't, because James Ram has got ahead of him once again. Tom Lenthal trying to get through on the inside. Now the Union flag drops and the touring cars get underway. Their cavalry charge from the back. The Jaguars heading around towards the complex, and away go the touring cars. Who's going to get their leads? The first corner is Mike Luck with a super start in the BMW. The Golf of Simon Jeffs didn't make the best of getaways there, so 2 races in 1 we have to focus on here. Ram leads the Jaguars ahead of Robinson, Lenthal, Holtz. Then it's the first of the Coppocks, that's Charles Coppock. A couple of cars running wide there as they head onto the hanger straight. Derek Pearce puts a wheel onto the grass in the XK8. But it's the reigning champion in the Jaguar Saloon and GT Series, James Ram, under pressure from Tom Robinson. He's going to go for the inside. That's an audacious move into Stowe corner. Just bobs back in behind the number 1 car there, and it's the XJS who holds the lead. Robinson sideways as they exit Stowe up towards Vale. Side by side, Charles Coppock and Michael Holt a little further back. It's leading the way. We have James Ram ahead of Tom Robinson as they complete the first lap. Is that a bit of smoke I see there from Michael Holt's car in the background, number 11? Here come your leaders, the first 3 pulling away slightly. Meantime, further back in the Touriers, yes, there is smoke from Michael Holt's car. Look at that, he's in trouble. He's going to have to pull over, surely. The 11 car with all sorts of problems as James Ram continues to lead the way. Side by side and trying to go around the outside there, Tom Robinson. I don't think he's going to make it around the outside at Stowe. All hopes of Swallows Racing pinned on that car now because, of course, Matthew Davis's car caught fire. He's having a look there as they go up towards Vale. He's round the outside, he's later on the brakes. He's done it, round the outside into Vale. Superb piece of driving by Tom Robinson. That's a move you don't see very often. On the brakes round the outside into Vale. He got the better exit from Stowe corner, and now he's ahead of James Ram. That's a brilliant piece of driving by Tom Robinson in the number 4. Lenthal looking on in 3rd place. Then the rest well behind. Here they are, coming down the straight now. There's David Howard, 3rd in the touring car division. They're starting to overlap with some of the Jags now. Simon Lewis in the Series 1 XJ number 65 in the middle there. Tom Burgess in the Fiesta around the outside. Stephen Primmett coming through on the inside. It's unusual to see Primmett mired in a midfield battle. He's normally out in front fighting for the lead of the Shell Oils Pre-83 touring cars. There is the leader, Simon Jeffs, ahead of Mike Luck. They've got ahead of Daniel Stewart's XJS, and Mark Lucock up into 3rd in the touring car split in the bright blue Mark 1 Escorts. There is the man who's in 9th overall, but leading his championship splits for the Shell Oils Pre-83 touring cars. The beautiful Mark 1 Golf of Simon Jeffs from Mike Luck. It's still Tom Robinson who's got the overall lead. It's Mark Cholerton. We spoke to him in the pits earlier on today, man from Norfolk. Simon Jeffs continues to lead the touring cars in the Golf. The Golf's especially suited to Silverstone. They went well here last year. Well, the big cats, as expected, dominated at the front, but the touring cars were quickly closing up on him. The clock has counted down to 0, so we should see checkered flag this time. And there is the checkered flag, and there is Tom Robinson. Takes the win in car number 4, 2nd for James Ram in car number 1, and they're way ahead of the rest, separated by just under 1 second at the flag. They had a good battle in the closing stages. The Coppocks 6th and 7th, and Simon Jeffs wins the Shell Oils Pre-83 touring cars. There he is. So well done, Tom Robinson. Good battle there, and a great move around the outside into the Vale to take the lead from James Ram. Simon Jeffs having a good scrap with Mike Luck for the win in the Shell Oils Pre-83 touring cars. In terms of class winners, the Jaguars, Class D went to Tom Robinson, the overall winner. Class C to Tom Lenthal. Class B to Michael Seaborn. Touring cars, Pre-83, Class C and overall went to Simon Jeffs. Class A to David Howard in the Jag. Class D to Tom Burgess in the Fiesta. And Mark Cholerton next home, completing the top 15.
You could see it was going to be tight at the start because there were a lot of people in the 120s and a lot of really interesting cars as well. So really looking forward to it. So I was really pleased with that. So finally the Golf is coming on song. It's taken a long time to develop, The guys at Jaguar have done a great job, and yeah, very pleased with that. It's really nice. Loads of people have come out and entered their cars, and they spend a lot of money and time getting them ready. And there's some really interesting cars now. There's a Datsun, there's a Toyota, we've got a Fiesta out with us. So yeah, the more the merrier. It's really good.
Well, congratulations on a great race.
Thanks a lot.
Well, down in Parc Fermé, what a race these cars that just gave us. So beautiful to hear that Jaguar roar around Silverstone. We've got plenty more racing when we come back. Welcome back to Silverstone and welcome back to the Classic Touring Cars Racing Club. We've seen so much great racing today already, but the Pre-66s are already back out on track and already giving us a feast of entertainment once again. Here's commentator Dave Goddard to take you through the action.
And it reads as follows: 71 Pete Smith and 41 Ollie Attard in the Lotus Cortinas on the front row. Second row 77 Alan Greenall and James Everard in the Alfa Romeo. Row 3, Barry Syme with his Mini and Pete Halford in his Ford Mustang. Fourth row, Harvey Deef in the Mini and Roger Stanford in number 11, the Lotus Cortina. Crossed the line fourth in race 1, but he got a penalty for exceeding track limits, so was relegated to 8th position. Lotus Cortinas on the front row, away they go. And down towards the first corner. Good start by Peter Smith from pole position. A snaking start from Alan Greenall, still fired up in his Falcon, up into second place. Good start by Roger Stanford as well. He'll be fired up after losing a few spots with that penalty from race 1 as well. Away they go out towards the complex. It's a 15-minute race. Up the inside there, Ollie Attard. And look at James Everard in the Alfa Romeo, side by side with Roger Stanford. Behind them, Pete Halford. Michael Sheraton, unfortunately, is not there in his navy blue Ford Anglia. Problems at the end of race 1. He had a very slow last lap and pulled off on the slowdown lap, so he's not there. One of the Minis sliding about there on the outside as they head towards Hanger Straight for the first time. Steve Evans at the back in the Austin A40. There's Alan Greenall pulling ahead of Ollie Attard. There's Pete Halford as well. Start to sort themselves out, then they come round towards the end of the opening lap. Smoke from one of the Minis there, locking up a bit into Stowe Corner. Number 7, Kevin Bottomley, has had a poor start. He was quite well up on the grid in his Mini, but it is number 71, number matching his age, as we heard in his interview earlier on. Pete Smith, who leads the way from Alan Greenall, Ollie Attard and James Everard fourth in the Class C leading Alfa Romeo. Sideways out of club corner there, Pete Halford in the Ford Mustang chasing now Roger Stanford, who in turn is chasing James Everard. Halford just pulls ahead of both of them. The grunt of that Ford Mustang V8 pulling him ahead up into 4th position. Stanford got through there as well. More significance though for Everard is that he is leading Class C ahead of the Minis. 2 Minis in there, Harvey Death and the 25 of Barry Syme, the Scotsman. Plenty of tyre smoke as they slip and slide their way around, driving on the limit of adhesion. Everard to the inside, heading to pass Roger Stanford. Robin Slater getting the Anglia ahead of Piers Grange in his Mustang there. The Fords of differing sizes battling it out. There's the key to the class colours. Class A, the big V8s, the Mustangs and the Falcon. No drivers in Class B for this meeting. Class C, Minis, Anglias and Alfa Romeos. Class D is Morris Minors and Austin A40s. Class E, Hillman Imps. Class F, the Lotus Cortinas. There's James Ibbotson in his lovely navy blue imp going through the shot. Here the leaders at Vale. Pete Smith up front in the number 71 Lotus Cortina, the ex-rally driver. Explains why he's so sideways all the time, but not as sideways as Alan Greenall, reigning Class A champion in that big Ford Falcon. Look at the way Pete Halford is going in the Ford Mustang. He's closing on the top 3. Looking at the lap times, yes, he's done the fastest lap of the race, 1:23.475, nearly a second quicker than Pete Smith on that last lap. Everard holding off the Minis. Harvey Deef in the number 182, 25 of Barry Syme behind him. Again, a lock up there from Greenall. He's run wide. Ollie Attard having a look on the inside. He's way off to the outside there. He's going to lose second place and possibly a bit more. Now Greenall doesn't want to lose out to Pete Halford because that's for the lead of Class A, and he'll lose class points towards the overall championship if he loses out to the Mustang. 5th is Roger Stanford, 6th is Everard, then the Minis. 7th and 8th for Death and Syme. Here comes Greenall using the grunt of the big Ford Falcon at the outside, side by side with Ollie Attard in his Lotus Cortina. There's the battle for the lead of Class C, the Alpha, the 2 Minis, and they've got a Lotus Cortina behind them. That is David Hall, number 57. Barry Syme, that beautiful blue Mini. Ex-Formula Ford racer several years ago, Barry Syme. Pete Smith continues to set the pace. Just under 11 minutes of the race to go. The first 4 have certainly broken away here. 1.5 seconds was the lead gap at the line last time through, as Ollie Attard now coming under pressure from Alan Greenall, weaving about there in the big Falcon. Here he comes, using his V8 grunt down the straights. But Ollie Attard holds him off. Tina stronger on the brakes. 4th place is still Pete Holford. Mustang just keeping a watching brief there. He wants the lead of Class A. He just doesn't need to catch the Cortinas. He just needs to get past Alan Greenall, keeping him busy here. Still Stanford in 5th position, sliding the Cortina around there. Just over 7.5 minutes to go, so we're coming up to half distance, and there's been a change for the lead in Class C. We see there Harvey Death has taken the lead of Class C. Now here comes Barry Syme trying for 2nd place. So the Alfa Romeo of James Everard has lost the class lead. He took the win in Class C in race 1, taking on the Minis. It's the Mini of Nathan Williams, who was the Class C champion last year. He's currently only 5th in class, down in 14th overall. There's David Hall. Next in the order, the first of the Anglias, Robin Slater. There is Harvey Death. Slides the Mini. James Everard has a look up the inside. Death displaying the driving style of Sir John Whitmore and John Love, who were the early 60s British saloon car champions in the Mini days, before the Lotus Cortinas came along. Only driver is back up the inside, James Everard. He goes through. Good move by James Everard in the Alfa Romeo. I was about to say there, the man who won the British Saloon Car Championship in Anglia in the 60s was John Fitzpatrick, the long-time sports car racer in entrance in his later years. Look at the way Everard's working that Alfa Romeo. That is superb. Really throwing that car around. Now, the Everard family have competed in rallies in that car in the past, and it shows. Trying to cover the inside there. Here comes Harvey Death again, trying to retake the class lead. Meantime, there's just over a second in it at the front of the field. It's still Smith from Attard, then Greenall and Halford. Back with our lead battle. Smith from Attard, now lapping Keith Wrights, the plumber and heating engineer from Bedfordshire, in his Morris Minor, and Steve Evans in the Brian Bedford Austin A40. Barry Syme having a look, trying to take 2nd in class away, and he does so into Stowe from Harvey Death. Just over 5 minutes to go. Oh, we've got a rollover. What's happened there? Who's that? A car on its side. I think that might be Kevin Bottomley's Mini, judging by the colour of it. Yes, it's Kevin Bottomley, the number 7 Mini, the man from Kent, is on his side at Vale Corner. Not sure what has happened there, unfortunately, but that might be a safety car. We've only got just under 5 minutes of the race to go. Smith leads the way. Now Greenall goes through up into 2nd place. Now that'll protect his class advantage because he's put Attard, or has he? No, Attard back up the inside. He locks up side by side. This is close between the 2 Fords. Still side by side on the run towards Vale, but Greenall's got the inside there. He wants to put Attard between himself and Pete Holford. Still Peter Smith holds his lead. Side by side for 2nd. Absolutely together over the line, Attard and Greenall. And here comes Pete Holford. He says, well, if you're going to scrap it out, I'll have a piece of this as well. He can't quite get past Ollie Attard. But now Alan Greenall's got his cushion because he wants that Class A victory. There's car number 1, that's Patrick Harris, and we've got a red flag. The red flag is coming out, not surprisingly, with that car on its side in the gravel trap at the Vale, and the race is being stopped with 3.5 minutes to go, so I suspect that will be a declared result. There is the Mini of Kevin Bottomley on its side in the gravel at Vale. Let's hope he's okay. The car's coming in, so that will be a declared result. Peter Smith takes his second win, provisionally ahead of Alan Greenall in second overall. He will win Class A. There we see it, Pete Smith the winner ahead of Ollie Attard, the result taken from the lap before the incident. Alan Greenall in third place. Pete Holford takes fourth in the Mustang. James Everard wins Class C in sixth position ahead of Barry Simon, Harvey Deeth in their Minis. Neil Bray is 16th ahead of the Class E winner, James Ibbotson. Good start for him, a double class win. Martin Reynolds next in his Anglia. And then Patrick Harris, the winner of Class D. And we lost Bottomley and Burrows in their Minis. That concludes the action this weekend then for the Pultec Classic Race Engines Pre-66 Touring Cars. Winner Peter Smith at the double this weekend.
Not the end to the Pre-66s that we were hoping for, but we do move on to the Pre-83s and the Jags. At the end of race 1, I caught up with a couple of Jaguar racers who don't just have personal pride to settle, they've got something of a family connection.
Jaguar XJS 6-litre V12, racing against my son, who's generally quicker. We've had a good morning. Good morning practice and a good race now.
So how did race 1 go for you?
I'm glad there was a second start because I had a very poor first start. I left most of the rubber on the tarmac as I set off, but when they came into the red flag, I thought I'll have a chance for the second start, which was only slightly better. But no, it was a good, clean race.
Are you looking forward to race 2?
Yes, very much so, and I'm sure my son is as well.
Yeah, I had a great race. Unfortunately, lost. Only just though. But yeah, struggled a little bit at the start. Just didn't have the confidence in the car. But as the race went on, got a bit more confidence. I think stuff was being spilt a little bit, so it was quite sideways in a few moments.
And what does it mean to you being able to race your old man at something like this? Because that must feel pretty special, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's brilliant, especially when we have a close race like today. There's just it's so much fun.
How competitive does it get, really?
Fairly, but not too aggressive.
That's what
we don't trade paint. We try and keep it clean.
Well, almost time for our final race of the day here in the Classic Touring Cars at Silverstone. What great entertainment these guys have given us all day long. Time for one more round. Here's all the action with Dave Goddard.
Cars already on the grid and underway for our second Pre-83 touring car and Jaguar race of the day. Tom Robinson and James Ram from the front row, and another poor start by Tom Robinson. I think another Jag hasn't got going. Let's not have a repeat of what happened in the first race with the number 50 car Matthew Davis. Now underway for 15 minutes of racing. James Ram leads away in car number 1. Looks like it's one of the Kopok family up into second place. A lot of smoke there from Simon Lewis and the 65 car. Pick up the touring cars in a moment. David Howard, I can tell you, has got away well in them. Side by side for second, Tom Lenthal up the inside past Lawrence Kopok in the 97. Good to see Michael Holtz made it back out after engine problems in race 1 as well. Michael Seaborn in the 24 car loses that to Tom Robinson. That XJR so quick in a straight line, he can make up the lost ground from his poor start. A bit like the Ford Galaxies in British saloon cars used to do in the 60s. They couldn't do standing starts because they were geared as NASCARs, but just passed everything in a straight line later on. 92 there, that's Michael Atkinson, newcomer this year. Ram leads it. Robinson's already back up into second place. Lawrence Kopok is third. Then it's Lenthal, Seaborn in the big XJ40. Then we've got Michael Holt, Rick Walker and Charles Kopok. Meantime, the touring cars are further back. We'll pick them up on the live timing as they come through. Jaguar's fighting it out at the front of the field. He's got ahead of some of the Jaguar Championship cars back as well. So there's a Jaguar Interloper as Tom Lenthal sends it up the inside past Lawrence Kopok. That's for third place in the outright classification. And Tom Robinson alongside James Ram, and he takes the lead down the Hanger Straight. That XJR just so quick in a straight line. Even the reigning champion James Ram can't hold it back. He's run wide on the exit though there. Doesn't want to be clocked for exceeding track limits. Down towards the Vale. Swing it in. Tom Robinson holds the advantage. Here's the pre-83 touring cars. Pick them up as they come towards Beckett's this time. Pick up who's leading there. There's David Howard. Derek Pearce behind him in the 58, so he's got ahead of another of the Jaguar competitors. There's the battle between Mark Lucock, Simon Jeffs, Mike Luck down to fourth, then Stephen Primet. There's Mark Osborne holding off Burgess and Cholerton. So good fighting all the way down the order. This is for second place in the pre-83 touring cars. This is for Class C. It's David Howard, number 55, leads Class A. This is the fight for second overall and the lead of Class C in the pre-83 touring cars. Down towards the left-hander at Vale, Simon Jeffs has a look up the inside in the Golf. David Howard with his headlights on, he wants to beat the Jaguar Championship competitors, I think, saying that my XJ12 was just as competitive. The Berkshire Pallets owner. Mark Lucock still second in the light blue Mark 1 Escorts. Then the Mark 1 Golf of Simon Jeffs. And up the inside, there's contact there. Derek Pearce missed his braking point there and he clips Simon Lewis. The XJ8, the XK8s rather, bouncing off the Series 1 XJ6. Here are the overall leaders. That's Tom Robinson ahead of James Ram still, and the gap is opening up. It was just under 2 seconds that time through. There is our overall leader, Tom Robinson, going for the double. There's the battle in pre-83. This is for second place in their outright classification. David Howard's pulled away in his Jag. There's Rick Walker coming through behind that very green XJS. He's being caught by David Howard, the pre-83 touring cars leader. You can tell by the Shell Oil Sunstrip that he's not in the Jaguar Championship. He is a pre-83 touring car racer in his XJ12, in the livery of the old Works Jags of the early 80s. Bit of a lock-up there though. Does tend to struggle with its brakes, this car. See the old British Leyland livery. Has appeared on the broad-speed tuned XJ Coupes of the early 80s, which were fast and very fragile. Kopok's fighting it out amongst themselves now, along with Michael Holt in the number 11 there. He went out in the first race with engine trouble. He's fought his way up the order. There's the fight ahead of them. Here are the leaders, lapping Ray Kirschberg in the Metro. James Ram just cannot close the gap to Tom Robinson. He's trying his hardest. He did close by a couple of tenths on that last lap to Tom Robinson. And yes, the gap did come down considerably that time. In fact, Ram has taken nearly a second out of Robinson there. Is Robinson suffering with a slight problem here? You can see it's come down. 0.8 of a second now, the gap. Ram did his personal best last time through with a 1:17.9. And he's right on his tail now. I think Tom Robinson might be developing a problem here. Here they come. And they nearly clipped a back marker there. This is Ram's opportunity. And he's going to go through. They nearly clipped Simon Lewis there in the Series 1 Jaguar. But no, Robinson again gets his foot down. Maybe his tyres are going off and he's not as strong in the turns. Because Ram is right with him there in the number 1. I think they'll get one more lap out of this. We'll wait and see if after the confusion of the mini race earlier. Can Tom Robinson hold on? It's a bit like the Mini 7 race between Joe Thompson and Jeff Smith. The number 4 understeering wide, I think his tyres are going off. Last lap board is out. Just over 30 seconds on the clock as they cross the line. Can James Ram fight his way through? David Howard is up into 8th place overall. Looks like he's going to win the pre-83 touring cars. Here they come then. We're on the last lap now. Can Tom Robinson hang on in the number 4? James Ram has a look. He won't get through there at Beckett's. He might be able to slipstream him on the hanger straight, but Tom Robinson will more likely just put his foot down. That's XJR, more powerful than the XJS, it would seem. Here they come. Down to Stowe for the last time. Is Ram going to get close enough? No, he's not. We saw the last bend lunges from the minis. I don't think you can do the same as that in a huge Jaguar, but James Ram might try it. Coming up towards the left-hander at Vale for the final time. Robinson just needs to keep a cool head from here, and it'll be a double win for the Swallowed Motorsports car. Round the final corner, the checkered flag will be awaiting them, and it is a double for Tom Robinson. James Ram nearly rammed the back of him as they crossed the line there. Very close indeed. 0.3 of a second in it at the line. Tom Robinson takes the double. Long way clear of their opposition in the pre-83 Classic Touring Car split. It will be another Jaguar victory. Perfect race for Jags. David Howard is going to take their victory. Tom Lenthal comes in third overall, nearly 30 seconds down on these two. Lawrence and Charles Coppock fourth and fifth, Michael Holt sixth, Michael Seaborn seventh, and David Howard gets eighth overall, wins the pre-83 split. Rick Walker is ninth. Simon Jeffs in the Golf 10th and 2nd of the pre-83s, he wins Class C. Mike Luck is 11th, Mark Lucock 12th, Stephen Primmett 13th. A bit of damage there on the back of Mike Luck's BMW. Been a bit of argy-bargy in the pack. The line. Now, are we going to see what happened to Mike Luck? Oh, he was caught out there. Simon Jeff slowed after that. So that's what happened to Mike Luck. Simon Jeff suddenly slowed after the checkered flag, and Luck threw it sideways to avoid him and hit the pit wall. What was that all about? Mike Luck won't be too happy about that one, I don't think.
All right, you find us down here back in Parc Ferme CTRC action. It was some race, wasn't it, between these two? Simon, we'll start with you. A great day for you ultimately, but the man next to you ran you very, very close the whole way.
Yeah, that was a really close race and great fun. These guys are very skillful drivers and gives you a lot of confidence. I'm relatively new to it, but it was really good fun and hard fought, and who knew which way it was going to go? So that's the way. It's great.
Not as, that's for sure. And Mike will bring you in here. It's a tough one for you. Second's always the worst position to finish, but it was a phenomenal race, and you gave it the beans all the way to the very, very, very end.
102%, I think, at the end. But no, I mean, Simon flies around here. He does it in the wet, he does it in the dry. But my chance came. A lap or two to go. He snatched a break, and that gave me a run on him. He wasn't going to stay there. But really enjoyable. Really enjoyed it.
Second time today, Tom Robinson. That must be a pretty sweet feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm over the moon. First time out, new car for this season, and qualified on pole and 2 wins. I need to practice on some starts though.
When you qualify on pole and get 2 wins, I don't think you're in the position to be too picky there.
No,
that's about as good as it gets, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we've been able to pick up the points for the qualifying and both race wins. But yeah, as you can see from the race just then, we dropped back to, I think it was about 5th or 4th or 5th, and we had to try pretty hard to get back up there. I managed to gap James for a bit, and then a couple of mistakes, and he started reeling me in, so it was getting close near the end. It's
been a fantastic day of racing, hasn't it? How good is it just to be back?
Yeah, it's absolutely great, and I think everyone, judging by the amount of entries, are the same opinion. The weather's been great, and yeah, it's just great to be back in the car.
Just feels like the longest winter ever has just suddenly come to an end here.
Absolutely, yeah. We've had a fair bit more time with the car to prepare that. That's one benefit, but other than that, yeah, I'm just so glad to be back.
And what do you like the most about racing this thing? Obviously not done it for too long with this car, but what do you like the most about it?
Yeah, so I like the fact it's a saloon. Obviously most of the cars in the series are the XJS derivative, so it's nice to put one of the big saloons up at the front of the grid. As you probably heard, with it being supercharged, it turns a few heads, so it's a little bit different, is why we like racing it.
It was a great day, yeah. I think David Howard did particularly well, didn't he? He was off and left us while we were scrapping, so that was nice to see. Yeah,
it's
good
been
fun.
It's been brilliant to watch. How much have you enjoyed being back?
Yeah, it's been fantastic. Well, I mean, we couldn't ask for better weather. It's been great all round. We've really enjoyed it.
Well, we can't wait to watch you again very soon, chaps. Well done.
Thanks a lot, Jim.
A fantastic day here at Silverstone. It's been such a wonderful competition. This man here has had a fantastic day. 2 race wins for Tom Robinson in one of the most special sounding cars you're ever likely to hear. Have a listen to this. We'll see you next time.